celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to our podcast here where we get to read some poetry. Sorry, I was doing some administrative stuff there when we started. I just accepted a call in from Scarlett. Scarlett, are you there?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound connected. I wondered there because you were popping in and out there. At first, I was watching your icon appear and disappear. I was like, huh.
Yeah,
So anyway,
sent you a message on All Poetry. I was having issues with my mic.
you solid now?
Should be.
Sound good.
As long as
Yeah.
you can hear me.
Yep. Sound loud and clear, honestly. Probably better than the last connection, in all honesty.
Oh, great.
Stupid internet. Sometimes we're at the mercy of the technology. Let's start out the show talking about a little bit about what's went on over the past week here. As everybody sees, Zach is actually on a vacation, so he didn't participate in this show. And what we've done is I've asked Scarlett if she had the time to call in, who is actually our Poet of the Month this month. Scarlett, congratulations on Poet of the Month. And the way we celebrate it and things like that now is so wonderful. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope the idea, the design is to where we recognize each other in a non-competitive way. And I've seen on the message board a lot of people congratulating you, and hopefully you've gotten some messages
I have
privately. Fantastic. Then I love to hear that feedback because it's working as it is intended.
I am
as we all
flattered.
Good. And that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be an ego, not an ego boost necessarily, but something that makes us more confident as poets in our community and makes us feel part of it. And honestly, a tricky lure to get somebody to call in too, because Zach and I, we want you guys to participate, Scarlett, and you've been the first poet of the month that's called in. I hope that's a tradition that stays alive. I really do, in the ongoing poet of the months. It's a wonderful thing for us, for our community, and you've done well by calling in. This is how many times, Scarlett? 2?
Twice now.
Yep, and you were looking forward to it, I hope.
I am indeed.
Good. So let's also talk about what happened Friday. Friday was the day before Valentine's Day, and it was one of those funny holidays this year that the 14th is on a Saturday, so that means the 13th is on a Friday. And I have not previewed any of the poetry that's on this board, but who knows what we could get. We could get love or murder or anything in between, as always, because we go all over the place. We get such great contributions from our group. Again, our group is the Quill and Parchment Society on the website All Poetry. That's where all of the poems that we're getting ready to read come from. And let's see, I believe that's all of the administrative stuff we have to do. So we're ready to get to some poetry. Now, Scarlett, in the queue, I have you reading first, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
And we're opening up with, I've just gotten to the list myself, Diffusion by Mindchild, also known as Rain, more casually. You got it?
I don't see it. It's above the little bookmark.
It's above the header, right. Yep, whenever that happens, and I'm glad you noticed that because I can explain it to you on air, and maybe the people that hear it in the group can understand this too. Whenever I add in order to add another poem or change the order of something, the way we do it on the list, I have to add it as a comment where I want it in order, so it makes things a little more, it just looks different. But that keeps it in order, and because I relocated your poem, it changed the way everything is, because I wanted it to be in good time to where you read your piece. And
I appreciate that.
Again, yeah, and that's how it should be. I think when you show up, you should read your piece because you know the rhythm of it immediately and everything. So, without any further ado, we're ready to go on Diffusion. If you're there.
All right, Diffusion by Mindchild. Blue enters by diffusion, not force. Heat misfiles itself, red thins into error. The body rehearses numbness. Silence metabolizes the room. Cold persists didactic. By the end, warmth is only a rumor. The veins hesitate to trust. Still unreliable inside. End poem.
Didactic. I looked it up. Good read. Good read for starting up. I looked it up while you were going. Didactic means something intended to teach, instruct, or moralize, often with an instructive tone. So let's diffuse this piece. That's what we're doing. I find that so funny because as you were reading it, I was processing and I was like, ooh, it's titled Diffusion. And that's what we're doing. We're diffusing this poem. We're breaking it down into its base colors. Quiet diffusion guides the poem, letting presence alter the body without announcement. That is the author's notes, and it's very helpful here, I think, in me processing it. And I took a look at them while you were reading there. And I really had to get through it quickly because this is a short piece, but it says quite a bit. It starts out, blue enters by diffusion, not force. So that is a reflection of the color blue, and it set the tone, I think, for the rest of the poem as we go into another color. Red thins into error. Heat misfiles itself. I found that fascinating. The heat misfiles itself. Is heat a misunderstood thing like anger? Is what it come out, or misused, misappropriated, I should say. Cold persists didactic. So the cold is trying to teach us something. Silence metabolizes the room. That's true. So I like the way, by the way this is put together, it is really like a diffuser. We use them for essential oils and things like that. My wife does. I say we. She's the mastermind behind that science, and she does very well with that. And I love those things. So I get this. I get this piece from that perspective, and it was very enjoyable and thought provoking. What are your thoughts, Scarlett?
So this piece is clearly quite abstract leaning, so I'm kind of trying to like wrap my head around it. I can't find meaning, but I can find emotion in it, if that makes sense. It feels
It does make sense, actually.
cold and like learning a lesson the hard way, almost. That's what I got from it. Like you screwed up energy, and now there's distance between you and someone type of feeling.
Hmm.
I If that's the actual meaning, I don't know, but
Uh, the good news is, Scarlett, with something abstract, you can never be wrong.
um,
It's how you take it. That's the beauty of it.
yeah. I think the line "silence metabolizes the room" is where I got that feeling from, especially that like crushing silence almost, like
That makes
something
sense.
wrong was said,
Yeah, that makes sense. Or something was done, and then there's silence in the room now, and it's uncomfortable.
and then it's cold. So I'm thinking like coldness as it applies to people, like someone acting cold rather than the physical feeling. That's
I,
kind of what I got from it.
yeah, great thoughts. Great thoughts. We ready to move on? You want to
Sure,
make me read one? No, well, okay. Here we
that's how
go.
this
So,
format works.
yes, it is how this format works. Thank you very much. I am going to read mine, and this is why they were in this order. My poem was next on the list. So this is M. Day Shyamalan by Unexpected Bill. I was asked one time years ago, why do you try to live only in light? Are you aware of darkness, of night? I was oblivious, blinded by my quest. Truthfully, I didn't quite understand as an emotionally immature young man. Now I've aged 200 seasons. I hear the rhyme and comprehend the reason. Darkness needs light and vice versa. Sleeping sickness happens for days. Rest requires the absence of sun rays. A flower grows because of the sun, but it needs more if it is going to bloom. Earth, rain, and shadows of the moon. A horror film by M. Day Shyamalan. Another example, so terrible and sad. When night gets lost, a good movie's bad. Don't get me wrong, I love to be happy. Joy in absentia? Despair? Well, not exactly. Breathe in the still, the cool midnight air. Solitary isn't darkness. It's time to reflect. I'm comfortable now, in a room all alone. Before I wasn't. I feared all the unknowns. What is the light without the dark? What is the night if not time for the stars? How do we navigate these seas of ours? At night, in the darkness, with light from twinkling stars. End poem. Your thoughts, Scarlett?
Um, First, I really like the play on M. Night Shyamalan. I caught that even before the poem started. Um, this definitely feels like something you've written, because you do tend to focus on balance versus a light or dark poem. That is something that you bring up a lot. Um, and I like some of the what is light without dark? What is night if not time for stars? I really like that line. Um, because it is one of the best examples of light and dark kind of being meaningless without each other. Overall, just a really good write on balance, I think.
It is exactly that, Scarlett, what you said. This is over time me studying. When I first started writing, it was just light pieces like la 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 la, and I never wrote anything dark. And I was actually turned off by darkness completely. Did not like it at all. And I just tried to write happy pieces. Well, then you can only write happy pieces for so long before they become shallow. They start feeling shallow and unemotional. And through my poetic journey, this is the path I took. I started really doing a whole lot of contrast pieces of lightness and darkness. And it showed me kind of that, taught me slowly that the darkness was necessary without light. They're not necessarily in conflict with each other, is how I view it now. They're in balance with each other. And you kept using that word. And this is after the journey had been going on for some time. So I've been educated, like we all are, as we start our own poetic journeys. We learn things about ourselves that we didn't know. And I've started understanding, and I really have come to terms with the fact that the light is not better without darkness. Together, the light and the dark highlight each other, illuminate each other in that way. They make each other more potent. And that's where I've come to. And they're both necessary because a plant will not grow in constant sunlight. They will wither and they will die. So those things in nature have kind of, that's what I was kind of saying. And I appreciate you guys like the M. Day Shyamalan, the title of it. You kind of knew where this was going with that. So thank you very much for your understanding, Scarlett. And we're now ready to move on. Let's see, what do we got next? You're reading?
Fingerprints by Shyamala, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I didn't know you then, what you were building in me. I thought we were just talking. I thought you were just being kind. Now I see you were dismantling my need. You taught me to you taught me to sit with myself, to notice my own small gestures. Montaigne would approve. To stand alone in my youth. Nietzsche would nod. I don't think I pronounced that right. You would listen, as if my afternoon dream sequence deserved a chair at the table, as if what I said shifted the room. No one had done that before. You kept insisting how I baked my walnut coffee cake mattered, how my love for 80% dark chocolate would heal me, how I saw puzzle pieces and their patterns without sorting them. It was not confusion but depth. You said I was beautiful, not in the way people say it to make a moment seem softer. You said it like you were correcting me, like you were tired of my refusal to see myself. You told me I did not need advice from those who haven't met themselves, that most opinions are noise, most criticism comes from those who won't bake their own cake. You said if someone doesn't recognize what you bring to tea, that is not your failure. I nodded then. I didn't understand. I had spent years waiting for someone to confirm I was worth staying for. You quietly removed that hunger. You taught me to be myself without audience, applause, or witness. You gave me back to myself. And that's the part that hurts. Because now I understand the cost of what you gave, the patience it must have taken to keep believing in me while I kept shrinking. You saw me before I agreed to be seen. I don't know if I ever thanked you properly. I don't know if I understood that you were preparing me to survive without needing to be rescued. Today I stand on my own, not desperate, not begging, not compromising my shape to fit someone else's comfort. And I know this steadiness has your fingerprints on it. So here's what I say now. No decoration. You were right. About my worth, about my mind, about my strength. I am steady, I am still. What others cannot see does not diminish me. End poem.
Boy, that one's deep, isn't it? I I was following through there as you were reading, and well read, Scarlett, by the way. And just so you know enough about Shyamala's writing. I've read enough of it to where she is she uses some terms that are native to her religion and culture that we in the U.S. are not so familiar with. And I think you did a fantastic job with those couple of words she had in there that we don't know exactly what they are. But this is a clear meditation on growth, forced growth, I believe, not growth of a voluntary, like she had set her mind on growing. This feels like it comes from a breakup, and um, the she's more thankful for who she is now, but wasn't so much when it was happening. When it was there was a coldness in the relationship that was teaching her to learn about herself, forcing her rather than teaching her, forcing her to learn about herself. And she's carried those lessons on into life now that that relationship has ended. And she's thankful that she's well adjusted and comfortable being still in a room by herself and just enjoying what she brings to tea in her own words. Because I really like that. It really did. It felt like something that was very contemplative and very courteous too, not overtly hurtful or whatever. It's not a ranty poem. It's a depth poem, and I appreciate the thought that went into it. So, what are your thoughts, Scarlett?
This felt incredibly powerful to read. Um, like this was like I could feel the confidence that this person now has through the poem as I was reading it. And it to me felt like thanking a mentor who's no longer in your life. I don't quite know why, but that's what it felt like to me. I went and I looked up the couple of words I didn't recognize. They're both philosophers. Um, I didn't go in depth as to onto what their philosophies are, but they are philosophers who I guess the person um probably associated with this teaching. Um, I also would like to point out that the author's note is just happy birthday and thank you. So I assume this was written on the birthday of the person who she is thanking in the poem.
Hmm. Yep. Interesting. I love the thoughts, though, the philosophical nod and the nod to those philosophers is not necessarily because she read stuff from them and taught them the lesson. She was saying that those philosophers would be proud of the lesson she learned.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really cool. Really cool. It was a very heady, thoughtful, emotional poem. Like you said, powerful. I'm actually glad you got to read that one instead of me because I think from the female perspective, it was better read in your voice anyway. So we're ready to move on? Before the Wind by Wednesday in October. This is the first time in a while we've read from Wednesday, if I recall correctly. So here we go. Before the wind, the pit in my gut grew roots, toes over the edge, rain flung sideways from a falling sky. I knew nothing, yet how rich the soil was, how green tomorrow could be. That long, broad strokes of color would paint my sky. In pink and orange and twilight blue, I didn't yet know the power of words. or the bending adjectives could sustain me, or that bending adjectives could sustain me. There was no we, not yet. Hunger spread up from a fractured earth beneath my feet, giving way to a need to stretch myself out. There was light, sun fire on the horizon. If I had known, I could have shown myself grace. End poem. You get to go first if you're ready, Scarlett.
Would you mind commenting first? I missed part of it because my internet failed.
I don't mind at all. If you want to take a minute and reread that, go right ahead, and I'll start commenting. This is another piece that is empowering, I believe. It sounds like, to me, the poet was down in the dumps and did not see that things were going to get better relationship-wise, whether it's a new relationship or a rekindling of an old relationship. It sounds like a new one, like it was unexpected, and it happened in the time when the earth was not fertile, was not good. It was dried and not producing anything. And then all of a sudden, everything changed, and it was very unexpected. And the way she closed it, there was light, sunfire on the horizon. Like she didn't see that coming, like things would never not get any better. She was just stuck with that feeling she talked about in the pit of her stomach in the beginning. If I had known, I could have shown myself grace. That's really, really a cool way to end that, because if she'd have known the future was going to get better, she wouldn't have beat herself up so much in the time that the future wasn't bright, is what it sounds like to me when I process it. You get through it and ready to comment now,
Yes.
Scarlett? Okay.
In many ways, I do agree with you, but to me, this one, it almost, the line "I could have shown myself grace" to me feels like she felt she did something wrong and was kind of just living in the after effects of that for a while. Like, and like you said, beating herself up about it, or it also, in Pink and Orange Twilight Blue, I didn't yet know the sheer power of words or that bending adjectives could sustain me. Almost sounds like the event that kind of brought them back out was poetry itself, maybe? It almost sounds like it's about poetry in that moment.
Now, see, I caught that. I caught that same thing, same feeling that it was written about. And a lot of people, if a relationship ends, that's why it fit for me, writes about the ending of that relationship, what missteps they made, the regrets they have, and things like that. So it all works. We got the same feeling from it. And I think you just kind of expanded on the thought process that I had a little deeper and a little sharper with the fact that mentioning the poetry on it is very key, because that's what we're here for, right? Yeah. Well said, Scarlett. I appreciate that. You and I are on the same page there with that one, and it is a very good poem to read. I enjoyed it. Let's see. What are we moving on to now?
A Melody Set Free by Garden Delights. This is my read, right?
Yes, it is.
You released a note. I'm gonna try that again. You released the notes I clutched tightly for too long. The music that couldn't flow without a gentle trigger or a friendly landing lying in wait. Years of withholding, bound as tightly as a tangled knot in lushly thick hair, now released into a love-spangled grotto, or a cavern, if you will, a place to explore and marvel at a discovered beauty. Different? Certainly. Lacking? Surely not. When you enter a room, the air quivers with joy, walls almost melt with anticipation. to see me madly skipping down life's path, jubilant, every time we meet. End poem.
Okay, so I went and I read the author's notes too, which I encourage everybody to do. By the way, that's why we keep mentioning this when we read the author's notes, because I really love reading a poem through, getting my initial take, because I usually get an instantaneous thought process, and usually I don't deviate from that thought process too much, and then I read the author's notes and I'm like, oh, that detail's important. So a lot of details that you if you want to steer somebody the direction as an author, you can use those author's notes effectively to steer somebody. Now, there was not mention of this. The title is A Melody Set Free, and it simply says, prompt 3, Unchained Melody, Righteous Brothers. Contest, mushy love songs, but oh, so good. Aggressment. So that's who this was written for, a contest, and the song is Unchained Melody. If anybody doesn't know what that is, if you've seen the movie Ghost, it's the one where they're spinning the wheel and making the clay. So it's a classic love song. And so that's appropriate. Valentine's Day was yesterday. So here's our first real love poem, and it's about the song. So that's fantastic to think this poet, Garden Delights, is writing about how this song makes the poet feel. And that's really cool because it captures it. It does. It's not a hit you over the head passionate. It's more of a droning, waltzy type, lasting, deep, long love song. It isn't, I love you, I need you. It isn't that. It's more, there's more soul to it than that. So I think this piece mirrors that very well. Garden Delights, you did a great job. Now, Scarlett, what are your thoughts on it?
I think I really heavily agree with you on that. I also I had to, while you were talking, read the first chunk a couple times because I was trying to figure out what it meant, and I'm realizing it's like a love song that's been trapped in his soul, waiting for the right person.
Absolutely.
Alright, that's where I got with it, and it's, well, as described in the author's notes, so mushy of a poem. It's so like soft and sweet and gentle. And that last paragraph or stanza, sorry, was really fun to read.
Mm-hmm.
Because just madly skipping down life's path, jubilant. Like, I just like that word choice because it really does convey.
What is the old saying? Ignorance is bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so is being in love. It's blissful. So, just being in love with the song, or the song reminding you of the love you have for somebody else. It's a wonderful thing to have that kind of a cue. It's almost Pavlovian. Every time you hear it, you start salivating. You want the treat, So that's what I really like that. It's so subtle and so soft, and it had that kind of funny ending to it where da 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 da. I hear this song, I start thinking about the love I feel, and I'm skipping along and having a wonderful day. It's perfect. So let's see. That's Garden Delights. Now we're moving on to Dark Night of the Soul. So just in pen names, we went from Garden Delights to Dark Night of the Soul. I love the way we just span through. Let's see. This is my read, and it's titled all of them. That's right. We cover them all. That's such a wonderful thing. And again, guys, I'm going to mention again, all of these poems come from members of our group, and this is just what they contribute to our reading list. I never read them and comment on them until they come on air, because I love to share my instant reaction, my emotions, my feelings of the piece. And I think that's very gratifying to the poets, especially when we understand a little bit about what they're writing. So that's why we want to do this. That's why we enjoy doing this. So this is titled A Song for Jeff by Dark Night of the Soul. Every eve he sits on the dock, barefoot and holding a guitar. Geese swarm to his side in a flock, all witness to a dying star. His mournful moans could move the dead. The leaning, spiked birch stands weeping. Riparian trees nod their heads. The lake bubbles in its creeping. And when he can't find words to say, he softly sings, "Lowly, low lay." Moonlight offers a foggy glow. Mountains give a shadowy stance. For songs of death they'll never know, for words of the human circumstance. The sky lets out stars as a boon for each note that the player plays, as he howls how endings come too soon, and how love neither lasts nor stays. And when he can't find the words to say, he softly sings, "Lowly, low lay," in poem. I'm going to go ahead and move on down here because the author's notes are fairly substantial. We'll
I was gonna say
read
the
them.
first thing I was gonna do.
Dual inspirations come from this Akira Kurosawa painting. In seeing it, I sort of feel a harmony of man, music, and nature. So I tried to get every element I see here into the painting. As I was writing this and saw the scene, I thought of Jeff Buckley, a fabulous singer who made one excellent album before drowning. The "Lowly, low lay" lines refer to his Corpus Christi carol. That is specific. So it's fascinating to know, proves the point what we were just talking about, whatever I was saying, the author's notes are important because this directs me to a song I don't even know. It's really cool. So do you want to go ahead and go through that? And the painting is attached to, by the way, so that is the painting that he is writing about. So go ahead, if you will, Scarlett, if you're ready.
So, I find it initially the picture of the painting actually wasn't loading for me, but from the words alone, I kind of had envisioned basically exactly the painting. And I think that's a really impressive feat to have. You know, a really impressive thing to have in a poem is descriptive enough imagery that you can draw that scene. This really, to me, invokes the idea of like the almost like the starving artist kind of idea, where it's this incredibly talented person, but he's just, performing for this geese. And it feels sad to me, even though I think it's the word choice that just brings an energy of sadness to it that feels a bit like this person has at this point passed on, especially "all witness to a dying star." That line really conveys it. Yeah.
So Doug is becoming, Dark Night of the Soul is becoming one of my favorite reads because I never know what's coming from him. You can't really pigeonhole him in any place because he'll write anything. But this one was no different than the rest. It surprised me with for one, his storytelling is always excellent. Like you said, Scarlett, you could almost draw that painting in your head from his words before it loaded in your screen. And that is a very powerful thing. That's probably the greatest compliment when Dark Night of the Soul hears this. That's probably the greatest compliment he'll take from this, is that you came up with the painting in your head before it loaded, and it was very close with the descriptions. And the way he goes about these things is describing them as so soft and flowing and even keeled. The emotion is so steady throughout it. It is a beautiful melody, for lack of a better word. It's a beautiful melody that he writes here. and he has all these elements, as he mentioned in his author's notes. He tried to bring all these elements in there successfully. He did that, in my opinion, as I'm reading this. Even the Lowly Lule. I'm unfamiliar with this song, but when we're done here, I'm going to go check it out because I'm curious as to what it is. So this is well done, and it really read very pleasantly. It was one of those things where it felt just a touch of darkness, but not like any kind of bad kind of darkness, just like that sad, melancholy, you're out there, he's out there and he's playing his guitar, and the only audience he has are the stars, the moon, and those geese that are hanging out there. But he's still playing the guitar and playing those sad songs, lovely lyrics. So very enjoyable. Let's see, what do we got next, Scarlett?
I would just like to say I also like the way you read and actually kind of like half sung the Lowly Lole part.
You're giving me way too much credit. Half sung. That was as good as I could do singing. Thank you. But I appreciate
that.
And you always try, we always try to do the poet justice. So he wrote it that way. So I had to attempt it, even if I didn't embarrass myself just a little, but I enjoyed it. Thank you for the compliment, Scarlett.
It looks like the next one is mine, correct?
That's what I got.
Okay. This is She's Cheery, Friendly by Scarlet Knight. She's cheery, friendly. She'll smile as she talks to strangers, works customer service and enjoys it. She loves making things. If she likes you, she'll make you something, braided bracelets or crocheted bags, or drawings made with her own two hands. She'll do anything for anyone. She's warm, lively. She cares for everyone so much. You're either her friend or someone she doesn't know yet. She's gentle with those who need it, and likewise firm with those it helps. She'll do anything for anyone. She's kind, amiable. She'll stay on a call all night just to make sure someone feels loved. She'll skip her lunch to make sure someone is fed because she wasn't really hungry. She'll lift you up when you're feeling down. She'll do anything for anyone. She's odd, distant, off in her own world. She prefers her own company and that of her close friends. She spends a lot of time drawing, writing, or reading, making things that people will someday enjoy. She'll do anything for her friends. She's drained, lonely, staring into stormy skies, wearing dark-colored baggy clothes, not bothering to shower, always alone, except for a friend or two. She'll do anything for those friends. She's cold, still. Eyes clouded, staring blankly into a sky filled with 1,000 stars, skin marred with 1,000 scars, loose clothes covering tight stretched skin and visible bone, rope leading up to the heavens, leaving her dangling below. She'd do anything for anyone. And home.
There was an escalation there from start to finish there. Clearly, it's so positive in the beginning and then just drifts down more negative and negative and negative. There's a despair to it that was written. And, I'm going to read your author's notes unless you would like to, Scarlett. Would you rather me read them or would you like to?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Check on your friends and be careful with what you say. You never know who will actually do it. The ending of the story, thankfully, is a fabrication of my own, as she survived that rope. She now has a loving roommate taking care of her and several close friends. She will be okay, I think. Does not erase the pain and fear, though. That's what it says right there. So the author's notes say that this is talking about someone else, is what it says. But it applies to everybody. We've all kind of been down in the dumps and stuff like that. And let's just face it, this is a taboo subject that people don't like talking about, but it needs to be talked about, needs to be spoken of. I have been one of the most powerfully life-altering events I've had in my life was a friend's suicide. And I was there every time that I could be there when I was let known. I was the phone call. Among others, there was a small group of friends that the phone call was made and things like that. And they were made several times before it actually happened. And then when it actually happened, there was no phone call. There was nobody was warned or anything like that. And it's sad. And it took me a long time to come to grips with that as the person affected. There's more than one victim, and we don't need to get into that kind of stuff. I'll get back to what the poem is. The escalation, the way this is written from the escalation is this person's in this happy place. It seems outwardly there's a facade because the sadness is inside and it's not going away, and it's long lived and it's there and it's just droning along and eating like depression does, eating from the inside out. And the outside, I think I used the phrase one time, hollow like an Easter bunny. So the outside has this beautiful chocolate Easter bunny that we're all excited to see and get, but the inside's hollow. There's nothing there because there's no feeling or emotion and all that. And I think your piece here really portrays very well how that person goes from what they show and they're involved with whatever their career is at the time, their job. And when they're involved with people and there's that interaction of people, even if it's strangers that they don't know while they're at work, it's very soothing and it takes the mind from the sadness, the depression, whatever it is that's going on in the brain, but it's always there. And then they have the alone time and it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. But I'm very pleased that the story has a happy ending through the author's notes because it didn't in the poem. I think I've covered everything I needed to talk about there. Scarlett, you want to tell me what you got?
So, this piece was written about a person who is quite close to me. Very important person, I'd say. And when it was written, it was quite a recent event. She's okay, I promise. She is okay. But it got me thinking about the fact that a lot of people, when seeing someone end up in that place, tends to be like, oh, there were no signs. We never would have seen it coming. And I very much wrote this poem with that thought in mind of just there were signs, no one saw them. So, like, if you notice, the she'll do anything at the end, she'll do anything for anyone at the end of each stanza actually slowly devolves from she'll do anything for anyone in the first three to she'll do anything for her friends to she'll do anything for those friends to she'd do anything for anyone as in past tense. You really did catch that it's supposed to feel like I was gonna say evolution, but I guess
it's de-evolution, really.
De-evolution.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's backing up. It's going back to the primal. You're absolutely right. And I did catch it. And the way you wrote that, the escalation of the depression, the despair was very clear.
Thank you.
And I think we need to add at the end of this discussion that we're having right now over this piece, guys, reach out if you get into that place because people are here. Reach out, even if it is just for a cheery poem or a minute of time. It makes all the difference in the world. And, we're all human. We all have our issues. We all have our triumphs. We all have our tragedies.
Can I also add
anything you want?
Notes. Check on your friends when they're acting out of character, You never know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wish I did.
You never know. Right. Oh, okay. We're ready to move on. Let's see.
Yeah.
My read. Define Danger by Light Fury, who has recently changed her name. I think this is Stargaze is who this used to be and recently changed her name. I don't know why I remember that. It just happened 2 days ago, I think. But Light Fury, the title is Define Danger. Danger, to some, smells spicy to the mind. Try to pull out once the moments grind. Stuck in a quicksand, make your movements timed. Undo the mistakes or leave yourself behind. Danger can give the dopamine rush, the kind no one knows, it's just you, shush. The weight of the thrill could be enough to crush a man, a mind, intentions. Fear not what's coming, but what you've led yourself into. Safe or not, this is completely up to you. Challenge, don't hesitate. It's only something new. Ignore, explain actions that were never true. Hide the grin. The arises with the word. For thoughts you contemplate, but no one ever heard. Don't deny the feeling once your mind has stirred, because it's true, isn't it? Find a way out of the mess that's been made, only to find some memories have stayed. Should one let them stick around or let them fade? Attempt to run away if you're now afraid. Fault, whose is it? No one wants to take the blame. Danger, to some, is nothing but a game. Why not find out if you're just another sane? Go on, test yourself. End poem. Want to hear the author's notes? What is danger exactly? A situation, a weapon, perhaps, or maybe a feeling most don't like. A proper poem that I've written in a long while. Okay, it says aged 17. So my guess is this was written sometime back. Is what Light Fury was getting at. So what are your thoughts there, Scarlett?
I oh, excuse me. The pacing has it be read in almost like a very faltering way, as if you're afraid, at least in my mind. Which I feel like really kind of matches the feeling that it's about danger. It's trying to define this feeling, this situation. Uh, I think that's really interesting.
It is. It's really neat when a poet writes a poem in a form that emotionally, even in the rhythm, like the words are more important, yes, but the meter and the way it's written are very important too. And this is a very good example of it. So as I was reading that, and it created this anxious pace in the way it was written. I think I stumbled in one or two spots, but it was easy. I caught that rhythm very quickly because of those 3-line short stanzas that just hit. I recognize this because I've used this myself. And you vary the length of the lines and stuff like that. And you create this tempo, this meter that really forces the reader to feel the anxiety and the tempo, or through the tempo, the anxiety of the piece. It brings your heart rate up and you're reading and it stays on that meter. And before you know it, you're halfway through the piece and you're like, man, I really feel like I'm afraid. I really feel like I'm sad. You can use it one way or another. So it's very effective. But this piece really goes in a direction that is really cool because of the way it does it. We've all explored our fears and all that stuff. And we all have them. I mean, you're looking out and you recognize danger, and danger is so many things. And that's what I like about the title. It says define danger. Well, what is danger? Danger is walking underneath a piano when it's being hoisted to a 7th story window in New York City, and you're oblivious, completely have no idea, but that's danger. Danger is those stupid movies that I hated. They brought me so much anxiety, and I can never remember the name of them. And I watched the first 5 of them, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I'm never leaving the house because there's danger everywhere. And nobody sees it coming. So I like the way this made me feel as I was reading it. It reiterated the point of the poem, backed it up with the meter and tempo, and made the overall impact of the piece even greater. So well done. You got any other thoughts there, Scarlett, on that one?
No, I do really agree with you, though. I really liked the meter and pacing of that one.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how
Yeah, it was fun to read too. It really was. Okay, what do we got next here?
Loading issues. Hold on.
I've got hint if you're looking for it.
A life so lovely, lonely. My bad.
Yep, that's the one.
A life so lonely by Hint. Unbrushed hair, tangled, unsettled, like memories. Fallen ice cream, unwelcoming, distancing, how the world grays around you, even when the eyes burn to cry out, even when the heart breaks. A moonless night, oh so vast, sinking a sky full of crimson stars, all watching, inside your poor soul. Oh, look how it hurts, ah. Squirrels creep beneath this pinewood floor. Let's follow them back to our home, ah. Ah, a life so lonely, ah. A mind so foolish. Frozen street lamp, flickering, stuttering noises. The roses stolen, tiptoeing, shivering voices. A squirrel lost in snow so cold, memory oh so nostalgic. A moon lost in a curse so old. Oh, how I wish I could go back home, ah. But life so lonely, ah. A world so grayish. A bruise grown oh so far within, frozen tears that melt down inside your poor soul. Oh, look how it hurts. Oh. Don't sink underneath this bridge. Let's hunt down our home. Oh. Ah, a life so lonely, so full of gray. Ah, look how it hurts. Ah.
Well, that's just sad. That's just sad. There's no way to spin that to where it's a pleasant read. I don't mean it's an unpleasant read. I just mean it jerks you to the sadness immediately, and there you go. And it starts out. I love that it bounces in and out of different metaphors, and then repeats the a life so lonely, the title. The is the important part, because in some of these spots the was and then the was and so there was an inflection on it where it bounced from less sad to more sad, but overall the tone of the piece was just sad and melancholy, like so many things had happened and they're all just sad. I liked where it said, just in the middle, this one little stanza, a life so lonely, a mind so foolish. I like that because, to me, when you read that, it was about a feeling of almost silliness, like, a life so lonely. This is the static part of it. And then, a mind so foolish, like this person would believe it's going to get better, but it doesn't. And that's the sadness, the gripping sadness of this piece that really is a great, a great pull, because there's no way to escape the sadness. There was a time or two in there where I felt like almost giggling, because it was a little bit happy. Who can be sad about a squirrel? Squirrels are fun. Watching squirrels is a joyous occasion, but this squirrel's sad. How do you make a squirrel sad? Well done. Well done, Hint. What are your thoughts, Scarlett?
I really agree with you. I love the imagery, like the way they use something concrete like fallen ice cream and then immediately into the like emotional unwelcoming distancing how the world grays around you. Like it's tying those emotions to that thing. I like that a lot. I will say in reading it, I had this like deep feeling that this was supposed to be sung in some way.
Hmm.
Especially with the usage of the ah. Um and I didn't have a tune to put it to, I'm gonna be honest, but I tried my best with what I had.
Well, I honestly felt like, since you mentioned that, Scarlett, I do felt like Hint did a very good job manipulating you as a reader and taking you to places. That's why you heard that melody and felt it, and felt that rhythm, because he wrote it that way very effectively. So he uses his line lengths and things like that to kind of draw you into a faster pace here, a more frantic pace there, and then a slower pace here, and all that. So that's what he did by lengthening and shortening the stanzas and the lines and stuff like that. And then if you look down at the bottom, just in the appearance of the poem, look how square it is at the bottom.
Yeah.
The last 1, 2, 3 stanzas. I mean, there's a little variation, right? But those last 2 stanzas almost look identical, like it's a chorus.
Not to mention, he made squirrels sad not only once, but twice.
Yes, squirrels sad twice.
And a squirrel lost in the snow.
That's sad. That is very sad. It's a squirrel and it's sad. I don't understand it, because squirrels are happy, frolicking creatures. So I feel like we've done some good here, Scarlett, and I like the idea of closing with you reading that piece, because it was a good closer. So there's some things I want to talk about on the way out the door. First of all, I want to thank you for joining me here, Scarlett. You did a great job again for your second time around. Well done. And I want you to tell everybody out there, it's not as scary as it seems, is it?
It's really not. It's quite fun. It goes a lot faster than you think it will, too, when you're reading.
Yeah, we've been on air for 1 hour and 3 minutes now. 1 hour and 3 minutes, and it just seems like a casual conversation of reading and interpreting poetry, and it is a joyous occasion. So, guys, if you see Aaron, I still see you're here. If you have any thought of ever calling in, get a hold of me on the site. We'll set a situation up, and you can call in and you can read your poem, and you can comment just as well, because there's never a wrong answer. We're only evaluating our own feelings, and that's the beauty of this. So there's something else that I want to mention, and I don't usually do this, but it's important. My wife and I celebrated our anniversary yesterday. So we've been, and this was, we have reached the point now where we have spent more than half my life together, which is a wonderful thing, to have somebody in my life, somebody so tolerant and loving and kind. She is a wonderful human being, and she does support me in this endeavor with poetry, and understands how much of a part of it is to me. And I've told her she actually is a pretty decent writer in and of herself, and I've told her if she ever gets interested enough, that I would be happy to have her here with me reading and evaluating poetry as well. But truly, the love of my life, everything good that has ever happened in my life, involves her.
Well, that's
And
beautiful.
It makes me want to puke in my mouth just saying it, but I really do love her. I love her so much, and I love her for how she loves me, and we have a wonderful life together. And I wanted to share that with all you out there, because yesterday was an important day for us. And the reason yesterday exists, it's never Valentine's Day to us. It's our anniversary. And we decided to eliminate that holiday that is felt like it's more commercial than anything, and make it a day of actually joyous celebration. That's probably the most important date annually that we have. Isn't life grand? Why, thank you, Scarlett. I appreciate that. And I'm sure Heather does too. She does listen to the playback too. So I always ask her for her critique because she'll give it to me straight. Looks like we're where we need to be. Scarlett, you got anything else to say before we call it a day?
Nah. Good night. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. Great job, Scarlett. And I hope, again, this encourages at least the poets of the month that are upcoming to give us a call in and read their poetry too, because it's not scary, as Scarlett said, and she's done a great job, and we didn't even coach her up. It's just that easy. So you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.